What's up, y'all? That's your favorite Chang again, Ethan, and your favorite other guy, Imran. And then today we're covering the NFL draft that was just happened on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I believe. But
Yeah.
we don't give a shit about them other rounds. Okay, we just care about the main round.
Yeah,
So
round one. Round one. There's too much
today,
to there's too much
yeah,
to go over if we start going through the
today is
rounds.
going to
There's
be
gonna be a
strictly
thousand
draft.
other podcasts that are gonna talk about every single thing in the draft. We just want to talk about the big stuff, the stuff that matters. And Ethan's gonna have the draft order, and we're gonna kind of just give our thoughts on most of the picks. Some of these picks were more of just fillers, but some
Hmm.
of them are really gonna change the game for some teams. So yeah, let's just get started.
First, we're going to start off with the Chicago Bears. Took the first overall pick. I think everyone knew Caleb Williams,
Yeah, Caleb Williams at one.
back out of USC.
You could see like the way he was sitting in the draft room. You could see the way, or not the draft room, but like I don't know, it's like a green room or something where all the top picks are. The way he was sitting there, the way he took that phone call, the Bears already told him 4 months ago that they're taking him, right? In that phone call, Ryan Poles even said he's been waiting to do that for 2 months, right? Like they knew that was gonna happen. Lip, bro.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, they knew it was going to happen the past few
Um,
months before they shipped out Justin
yeah,
Fields. After that, you can
yeah.
see they got the weapon for him. They brought in DJ Moore, brought in Keenan Allen. Who else did they bring in?
They got DeAndre Swift,
DeAndre Swift.
running
They
back.
got
And now
Rome.
they've got, well, we'll talk about it later, but they got another incredible wide receiver. So they've got an insanely good core there on offense, which is going to be exciting, something to finally get excited for with the Bears because even when they drafted Justin Fields a few years ago, like there was no like true excitement. Obviously, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, he's a really good quarterback," but they didn't have anything there when he joined, right? They had
Mhm.
Darnell Mooney and maybe Allen Robinson was there at that time, but nothing,
Yeah,
nothing to be
dog
like,
water.
"Oh wow, this is going to be amazing." This is different now. Caleb has this aura that he is going to be phenomenal, and it's not about is he going to be the starting quarterback in the NFL? Is he going to be a top 15 quarterback? The question is he going to be the best quarterback in the NFL? And this is going to be amazing. He's putting all the pressure on himself as well. It's not like it's just the media, it's himself putting the pressure on, plus a huge market like Chicago. I think that those two, like the way that that's going to work out, it's going to mesh well, I think. And Caleb, he's got his own swagger, he's got his own thing, and he's gonna make it work. There's not a ton of analysis to do there. That's an A plus. Like they were gonna crush that. There's no way that they're gonna screw that pickup. He's the best quarterback in the draft by far, former Heisman winner, and he's phenomenal. So number one, clear,
Excuse me.
no surprise there.
Yeah, he can extend plays. He's good in the pocket.
Yeah.
He can do everything basically. He's kind of like a Mahomes from Wish, I'm guessing. Kind of.
Not Wish though. Like the thing he's like, and honestly, it's really hard to compare who he's like because he
Hmm.
really is like his own. Like, he has the pocket presence and he steps up into the pocket and he does move like Mahomes. He's got the legs for it. Um, and his arm talent is just it's really good. He's really accurate. He's pretty smart with the football too. He doesn't throw a ton of picks. He's just, like I say, he's doing his own thing. He's of course used to a top offense, but USC was not the best team in college. And
No,
he
I heard their
really
O
good.
line was ass.
Yeah, exactly. But like that's what I mean. He wasn't on the best team, kind of like what JJ McCarthy had or some of those other guys with those top schools.
Hmm.
And
Like,
USC is a top school. Like let's not joke around
but
about that.
not this
He's
year.
really
No
good,
way.
but he's got a top coach with Lincoln Riley at that time with USC. I think that I just think that he has all the tools and the makings to be an incredible quarterback, and he has the confidence too. And when you have that confidence and you're number one, I think it's really hard to make it not work out because he wants to be great too. It's not like
Hmm.
he's going to be number one and then, you hope you don't have like a Jamarcus Russell situation where you go number one and then, you're not fit anymore even, right? Like you gain a bunch of weight and you come into camp and you're just not ready to play. So this has been hyped for months, years, maybe even you could say, even back when he was on Oklahoma. Like he's a really, really good player. Easy. We already talked about it for too long. This is an A plus for the Bears.
A plus as well from me. And number two, we got the Washington Commanders. Took Jaden Daniels, 6'4", quarterback out of LSU. Sorry, I'm just getting something. And he's a Heisman winner this year. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, the first thing to say is that when we talk about the Heisman, he statistically had People say it's the greatest, like statistically the greatest season in college football history. When you put it all together, obviously it wasn't.
Bro.
He didn't win a national championship or anything like that, but he had a really good year. What kind of hurts him a little bit is that he's older, so his age kind of plays a factor, but it didn't matter at this point. They're looking for talent. The Commanders needed someone who's ready to start now because they don't have a quarterback who is good enough to take this team to a different level. They believe that Daniels is that guy. Most of the league believes that Daniels is that guy too. It wasn't unanimous second. Like some people probably thought Drake May could have gone number two as well. But the Commanders are looking for the most complete quarterback they could get, and that was going to be either Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels. So I think that they made the right choice there. He had a great year. He had a lot of I believe no, Odunze wasn't on that team. I'm trying to think. Malik Neighbors was on that team as a top wide receiver. I don't know. There's nothing wrong with that pick. Exactly as we expected. Um, I'm not going to give it an A plus because it wasn't the first pick.
I'm gonna A.
I just think it's a good pick. It's an A. It's a great pick. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw people definitely talking about if they're gonna take Drake May or not. But I guess they got their guy. They shipped out Sam Howell last year to my Seahawks, which
Yeah.
is shows that I don't know they're just ready to move on.
Well, it
And
also shows that they're not looking for a huge project, right?
mhm,
Because Howell's going to take some development. Like Seattle, I think having him sit behind Geno is going to
yeah,
do
it's gonna be good for
him
him.
good. But the Commanders are looking for a complete quarterback they can finally build around, right? Who's gonna lead
Hmm.
this team to something. And Jaden Daniels is definitely he might be more complete than Caleb Williams is, but he may have already kind of hit his ceiling.
Hmm.
Sorry, it's not. He's not going to be. You know, I don't expect him to be, a top five quarterback in the NFL. Even though he's the number two pick, I don't think that's going to happen. I think that they picked him so that way every year this is a guy that they can depend on to be at the
Mhm.
top. So it's a good pick. It's a great pick.
He also gets Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson,
Yeah.
good weapons for him. But
And at running back, I remember Brian Robinson Jr., but they've got one more running back that I can't think of right now. They've got a decent group there. That offensive line, they really do need to shape it up a bit, but they'll figure it out. Um, and then the defense over there isn't too bad. So
yeah, but it's a new coach, new everything. We'll see what Dan Quinn does with him
yeah, that'll
and
be exciting.
OC too.
That'll be exciting.
We'll move on to the third pick, Drake May. Wow, another white quarterback going to New England. I've
I
seen this before.
mean, yeah, because last time it was Mac Jones. Um, but you knew that whichever one of this top three QBs was left is who the Patriots were going to take. The Giants
Sure.
and the Vikings were trying so hard to move into that number three spot, but the Patriots knew what they wanted. They're now post Belichick era. They're starting a new thing with Gerard Mayo. And he wants his QB now, right? He wants to put his own imprint on this team. And the most Patriots thing ever would have been if they traded down, right? They would have
Mhm.
traded out of that spot. They could have got some more assets and take a different quarterback, but you got to go and get your guy. They got their guy, Drake May. I think he's going to work out well there. And like they said afterwards, is that a lot of these young quarterbacks are just kind of being thrown in there, right? They're not being developed anymore.
Mhm.
You're just expecting everything from them. I don't think that's what they're going to do with Drake May. I think that they're gonna see what he's got. Obviously, if he's good enough, they'll probably put him in. But Brissett is a really experienced QB, and they're gonna have their pick. And if they think that maybe May has still a lot to learn, they can sit him on the
Mhm.
bench. It's not gonna hurt his confidence because it's first year, right? Mahomes sat for a year, Jordan Love sat for three. It's not gonna hurt anyone's confidence if he's not ready. And he's got really good intangibles, right? The guy's 6'5", he's got a wicked arm. He played pretty well at I don't remember if he actually threw at the combine, but at his pro day, I think he did throw.
He's
Um,
athletic too, his whole family. I don't know if you saw.
yeah, they are. It's just a family of
Basketball,
athletes, and
baseball.
he's just, he's just a good QB. And what also I think sometimes teams really gravitate to is players who don't play on like phenomenal teams, right? Like I think what really got the Giants to take Daniel Jones those few years ago was that it was not just that he was at Duke, but that the team around him was just not amazing, and he still looked good. He
Hmm.
still managed to make a mediocre team look good, and that's why they took him. And it's the same thing with Drake May, right? The past few years at North Carolina, they don't have any, headliners at wide receiver or running back, but it's just a decent group and they made it work. So I think that I think it's a good pick as well, exactly as expected. I don't think that there's anyone else that they should have taken because they don't have a quarterback. If you really think about it, like, they don't want to run without having a future at QB right now. Because next year's
Mm.
quarterback class, in my opinion, is much weaker than this year's.
Yeah, yeah, for
There's a
sure.
lot of guys
Six
that like.
three, two
I'm not a
guys.
huge fan of Shadur Sanders. I'm not gonna lie. We'll get into that at a later date, but this was the time to go get your QB. So that's exactly what they did. It's another A for me. Like I don't know what else the Patriots could have done. They filled a huge need. They got a really like pot potential high QB in all aspects. Of course, he has some weaknesses, but they can work on fixing those and continue to develop him. I think he's built for the NFL.
I'm also give it an A. I mean, you could see basically they did the same thing as the Commanders. They decided Mac Jones wasn't good enough. I'm not comparing Mac Jones to Sam Howell, obviously, but
Mhm.
they trade Mac Jones to Jacksonville, I think, was it?
Yeah,
And
that
then
was just kind of a
yeah,
sign that they were ready to move on.
yeah, they bring in a new white quarterback, a new coach, new system as well. So, and you said maybe he'll sit behind Brissett. Maybe they'll split them off throughout the season,
Yeah.
just to ease him into a starting job. But yeah, it's an A. So move on to number four. It's pretty obvious, best wide receiver and probably a long time
A long
prospect,
time.
Marvin Harrison Jr. 6'3", 6'3" wide receiver, and he's fast. He's a big boy.
And
Pause.
it's, Ohio State. I saw that picture where it was like Marvin Harrison Jr., um, what's his name? Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and CJ Stroud.
And Chris
All
Olave.
sitting- And Chris Olave.
That's a
That's
nasty.
that's incredible,
OSU
right?
just they make
That
good.
that is incredible. They have become wide receiver university. They took over LSU. Like it's incredible. That was that's an amazing group. And those three other guys are awesome, right? Like they're all awesome players. They're all developing. Garrett Wilson's become a star. Jackson Smith and Jigba is not going to be in his second year, and I think he's going to get a much bigger role.
For
And then
sure.
Olave is probably the number one receiver right now on the Saints, right?
And then
And
you
now
say
you get Marvin Harrison at four. Not
mm,
often a receiver goes this early, but there was talks like at the beginning of the year that maybe this guy's going to go number one, right? Depending
mm,
on who's picking one. Like there was talks about that because that's how good he is. That's how consistent he is. Not super injury prone. He's an incredible wide receiver, a Heisman worthy wide receiver. So this one's an A plus. Arizona,
mm,
the only way they could have screwed this up is if they traded out, right? Because it was either they're going to take that or they're going to trade out of the spot. I don't think anyone was going to trade up really to afford to take him. There would have been
mm.
quite a big asking price, but a really good job, really good wide receiver.
So what you're gonna give an A or A plus?
I said A plus. It's going to be an A
A
plus,
plus.
also because they've got to add to that rough wide receiver core in Arizona. Like it's not they've
Mm, yeah.
not much there, right? So
I'm also giving it A plus. I mean, this guy, he's the most polished receiver, I think, in the class. 50-50s, routes, speed is everything. I feel like he's pretty humble too. He doesn't really talk much.
no, he doesn't really talk much, and I bet part of that is also his dad, right? His dad was
Yeah,
in
his
the
dad,
His
Hall of
dad's a
Famer.
legend,
Yeah.
huge duo with Peyton Manning,
Manning.
the Colts. I'm sure that there's been some coaching there. He was pretty
Mm.
quiet. He just,
I mean, I'm gonna give it A plus too. I
yeah.
think he's gonna do well with Kyler, I think.
That'll be
New
exciting because Kyler loves to throw the deep ball. Marvin Harrison loves to run those deep routes, but he's also an incredible
mm.
route runner in general.
I feel
Got
like
great hands.
they can have a good chemistry as well when Kyler like he rolls out of pocket. I feel like Marvin's gonna be open.
Well,
Just
and 6'3", right? That's pretty
yeah,
nice.
6'3". He's like people forget how good Kyler was with D Hop, but
Yeah.
like Marvin
Yeah.
Harrison, I feel like he can be even better because he's faster again. His hands
Well,
might
and I
not.
think Kyler really does take a lot of slander. Like the
Mm,
problem is that he hasn't been able to put together a healthy season in some time. So let's see after this offseason now he's gonna have full offseason where he's gonna get to work out with Marvin Harrison and get some chemistry because he's gonna be his guy. I think there's gonna be a bit of a turnaround, right?
mm,
So, anyways, that's an A plus,
I'm moving
phenomenal
on to
pick.
number five. Joe Alt. I mean, six
Dude.
nine, 320 pounds from Notre Dame. The name Joe Alt just sounds like an O lineman. I don't
Yeah.
know if you saw the memes, but what he was wearing, everyone was
Yeah.
like, "You
This
see this
guy's gonna
guy?
be
Look at
great for
him."
the next
So
20
this
years.
a farm boy right here. You know
Dude.
he's gonna be the next
He
like
is he
big
is
guy.
so good. He is so good. Best offensive lineman. The Chargers could have gone a few ways with this pick because they lost a couple wide receivers. They could
Hmm.
have replaced it with a wide receiver. There was some rumors they were going to try and maybe trade Herbert and go try and get JJ McCarthy to put him back with Harbaugh.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that. I think
Yeah,
that
good thing they didn't do that.
if you have
I
a
know
star
Chargers
QB,
fans
yeah,
would
like
have hated
it's
that.
they need to keep Herbert and he needs some weapons, so they're gonna have to figure something else out. They still have some decent players there, but not to the level of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. So they have to figure it out. But Joe Alt being there is gonna give Herbert so much more time in the pocket. Like this guy is. I think that
Oh,
what
did
they
you see that
said in the
stat?
draft
Yeah,
interview
yeah.
stuff was like they called him a nimble bully. I think it was him that they talked about, and if they didn't, I would still call him that too. This guy is just his presence, being 6'9", the amount that he weighs, how strong he is, like. And Notre Dame is an awesome school. You play a ton of super difficult competition, and he's been amazing all year.
Hmm.
It was a clear pick. The guy's an absolute animal. Another A, it's an A. Like I'm gonna stop giving it A pluses because it's
Hmm.
a little
I'm gonna
too
give it
much.
an A
But
as well.
it's an A.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it A as well. I saw a stat where it said out of 1,000 snaps, he's only given up 4 sacks. It
No,
was
no,
crazy.
this guy he's incredible. He's so
Yeah,
reliable. Exactly what the
do
Chargers.
everything. Apparently they're saying that he might play the left side, and that means they're gonna push Rashawn Slater over to the right.
Yeah,
But I
think
feel
about
he's
that
that
duo.
good. Yeah,
Slater
Rashawn
and
Slater.
Alt as your two tackles. That is
Two
so
young
it's
tackles for
funny. It's
Herbert. That's good.
scary as from a defensive perspective, but when you're the QB, that is probably so calming knowing that you have these two absolute beasts
For sure.
protecting you, right? And they're gonna get big money at some point, both of them. But
Yeah,
for now, the
eventually.
Chargers
But
are
that's
gonna
like
love that they're
later
both
issue.
there.
Okay, I'm gonna give that an A as well. And now we're moving on to the New York Giants, and they took Malik Neighbors out of LSU, 6 foot wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good pick because he's like right behind Marvin Harrison in terms of talent. He had a really good year as well. Um, at LSU, like I mean, the guy's awesome, right? He's a really, really good wide receiver. It's definitely what the Giants need. Normally, you don't draft for need, but he was there. He's good enough to be picked at 6, and it was a perfect pick because everyone was saying that they should replace Daniel Jones. They're paying him so much money right now. There's going to be so much dead cap that they can't do that. It wouldn't
Hmm.
even make any sense really to give a ton of assets to go up and get a quarterback because they just got this guy sitting on the bench. This guy led you to the playoffs 2 years ago. Like the Giants were a legitimately good team.
Yeah, they were like 9-8 or 10-8 or something, or
Or
ten
better
and
than that, maybe. I thought maybe yeah, maybe it was 10 wins, whatever it was.
yeah, yeah, that was 10.
They had a good year. And Daniel Jones had also a really good year. In the playoffs, he kind of struggled, but for the regular season, he played really, really well. And then last year, everyone's forgetting at the beginning of the season before he got hurt, he was getting sacked like 8 times a game. No quarterback can do well when they're getting sacked that much. None of them can. And he's got no wide receivers. Saquon, now he's gone, so that's going to be a tough thing. They had Saquon at that time, but with the offensive line as poor as it was, Saquon can't really thrive either, especially early in the season. And they had a lot of difficult matchups. Well, I don't know what they expected from him. I think he absolutely deserves one more chance. I think he earned it. I think he
Hmm.
earned the right to have one more chance. Um, that offensive line has grown a little bit, so hopefully it's going to be a little bit better. And now he's got a true top target. This guy, he's really, really good all around, especially with his route running. He'll improve his hands. It's going to be this is Daniel. This is what he needed. He needed this more than he needed Saquon. It would have been good if he had both.
Sure.
But this is a good pick. It's an A as well. This is an A.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, this guy, he's fast. He's outstanding after the catch. He can break tackles. This is like what you need. You need like need that receiver that can just break down defense just like that. I think Daniel Jones, he really needed like a receiver because who was he throwing to? Kenny Galladay last year,
Yeah, and I don't even know if Galladay was
and he
playing.
was like and
Darius
like
Slayton was
Kadarius
still there
Toney before he
probably.
was traded. Remember that?
That was yeah a couple years
But this
ago.
guy has not had any weapons. Now that O-line, I remember my Seahawks played the Giants. I think they won the game off a game-winning sack. I think Jones got sacked like 8 times that game. It was crazy. But I mean, they need a receiver. They need to help out their quarterback. They couldn't have got rid of him because again the dead cap and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give it an A. I think he's gonna elevate Daniel Jones' play, but I still think they need more receivers. But it's a good pick. As
Yeah, I
A.
think it's a great pick.
And the next pick is the Tennessee Titans taking J.C.
JC
Latham,
Latham.
who's a
Um,
tackle out of Alabama.
so this one, this is a start where it kind of starts to go its own way, right? The Titans could have done a lot here. They could have gone for another wide receiver. They could have done something crazy and gone for a quarterback.
Hmm
Um, but I think they did the right thing. They took offensive tackle. I think it's the right move. Latham, they said people were saying he could have gone ahead of Joe Alt. Like the Chargers could have taken him at 5.
Oh, some people said he was later. They said
Well,
Fatani.
it was a mixed bag. Some people were saying, oh, he should have been a later first round pick. Some people were saying he should have been right up at the top. And that's exactly where he went. In my opinion, if you need a tackle, you have a high pick and you have no idea who to take, and the tackle's pretty good, just go
Hmm
get your guy because it's so difficult to get offensive linemen in the NFL now. They
hmm
cost so much money. It's so tough. They are way more valuable on that rookie deal. He did it. He had a really good year in college. He's a really good player. I honestly think he was expected to go there. When I was like kind of making my own mock drafts and stuff, I had him in the top 10. So it's not a surprise for me. I think he's a great player. Overall, just makes a ton of sense for Tennessee because they're really trying to figure out their quarterback situation. Sounds like Will Levis might be the guy. The coaches are really
For
starting
sure. I
to like
think he's
him.
deserved it.
Yeah, I think he earned it last year, especially in the I think it was against Miami when he had that comeback. But
Yeah.
he's been playing. It sounds like he's looked good in all the workouts that they've been doing this year so far in the offseason. And one way to sort of stabilize what you're doing is to go get an offensive tackle. And
hmm
they did that. They've never really had a since they because Taylor Lewin had always had injuries before he
Yeah,
retired.
yeah, he's retired now.
And so they never really had the true stability there. Hopefully, Latham can kind of be that first stepping stone for them in terms of stability. I'm gonna give it an A minus. I don't think it was like an A plus move or anything like that.
Mhm.
They filled a need. They didn't go out and get anything flashy. They didn't, make any kind of surprising move. It was a good pick. Some expected it, some didn't. It's an A minus or a B plus.
Yeah, I must say it's a B plus, A minus. I mean, they need a tackle. Again, you said tackle's probably top three most important positions in the NFL, I'd say. Because you obviously got to protect your main guy, the quarterback. But the honestly, the Titans haven't been very relevant. I feel like since the Tannehill, Derrick Henry days,
Yeah.
you know, which was
Yeah.
like 4 or 5 years ago, 3 years, 4 years ago.
Well, now because the thing is, they're going through like a
Yeah, rebuild.
huge change, right?
Even the
Because think
coach
about it,
Vrabel's gone too.
he's gone too. But you think about it, right? They had Mariota when they were in the playoffs.
hmm
They moved to Tannehill, and then since Tannehill, it's just been because
Who
Tannehill
left
just like
them?
he's just now finished there, right?
Oh, who's
They're
the
trying to
guy? There's a guy.
yeah.
There's
Well,
a
Malik
black quarterback.
Willis,
Yeah, him Malik. He
but
tried it out.
sounds like they've kind of given up on him. Like they're still gonna keep him there, give him some chances. I hope that they give him a proper go. But in the
Mm.
games that he has played, I do have to say he hasn't looked amazing. And I wonder if it's just because he's been put in some really tough situations. But let's see. I think that maybe Tennessee just maybe wasn't the right spot for him. He was a third round pick anyways. Uh, but I think the offense, when you're looking to rebuild your offense, in my opinion, you always have to start on the offensive line after the quarterback. Get your QB, get the O line. I think that they think they've got something good in Levis. I think Levis he was supposed to go in the first round in his draft. He expected to,
Mm.
and he didn't. He fell to the second round. So they got, in my opinion, a real gem there. And now they've found a protector for him, right? One protector. They're gonna have to keep on working that out. They've got DeAndre Hopkins there. So they have a top receiver. They have Traylon Burks, who hasn't really
Yeah,
the
he's
star that
like,
everyone thought he was going to be
mm.
because of that AJ Brown trade. They put a ton of pressure on him. I'm never going to give up on first round picks. I still think he's a great receiver, but he's going to have some development. Obviously, he got hurt last year, so lots is going to have to go into this season if he wants to continue to improve. But
Mm.
I think that Tennessee's kind of put themselves back in a good spot to rebuild. They're not in no man's land, but they're
Hmm.
in a decent spot.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. You never want to be in like stuck in the middle territory. You always want to have a direction.
Yeah,
And some teams
exactly.
they're afraid to like rebuild, which is like nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
I'll move on to the eighth pick, Michael Penix Jr. to
yeah.
the
So this is kind of
quarterback.
the pick. And actually, I want to get your take on it first. Like, what do you grade it? What do you
Okay,
think
so
here?
I'm gonna grade this an F minus.
An F, so lower than
So,
F, which is it's normally you can't go lower than F. So
no,
wow,
I don't care because it's an F minus.
so
You
bad,
know,
it's a bad
you
one for
messed
me.
up when the owner is talking to the GM. You saw that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah.
saw it too, right?
Everyone's seen that clip now of Arthur Blank talking with the GM, and it looks like the GM's trying to explain it to him as to why they just did that.
Yeah.
Whether or not that's real, I don't know, but it's hilarious, and that's how we're gonna take it. We're gonna take it as he's explaining it to the owner. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, let me say more about him. So I think he's turning 24 or 25. So
24.
he's
Yeah,
24. Yeah. So he's definitely one of the more um
he's one of the older
venerable,
QBs.
older guys.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the older guys in the draft. So and he's injury concerned too. I think he had two ACL surgeries or something. And then he put out the quote, "Oh, you should be happy that I've had injuries or something." Or it knows that like you should be happy that I don't have any injuries, you know?
Yeah.
Like that list because he said, "Oh, it's concerning if I get one." But I don't really understand that. I don't know what he's yapping about. But why would you do this when you just paid your quarterback, Kirk Cousins, what is 160 million, 180 million over
180
4 years
million with 100 million guaranteed in the first 2 years.
guaranteed? I understand Kirk is 34, but by the time, say he runs out the contract, even like 3 or 4 years, so it'll be 37 or 38. Penix will be 27 or 28. That's like this. It gives Kurt Warner vibes, 28, and
Yeah.
it's finally your team. But I don't know what the hell they're doing because they could have traded down. They could have. I feel like they could have taken another receiver because Rome was available, right?
Rome Odunze, yeah. He
Yeah,
was
he was
fantastic.
available. You had all these other people available. You had Brock Bowers. Imagine, oh no, they didn't need Brock Bowers, but you could have taken someone on defense and everything. But I
Every
don't know
single
what they're
defensive
doing.
player was on the board. Literally every single defensive player.
Byron Murphy
Not
was
one of
on
them
there.
picked yet.
Like
So
I don't know what the hell the Falcons are doing there. It's sad being a Falcons fan. It's sad. You know the memes, the
yeah.
28-3.
So I mean, I'm not gonna give it an F because he's not an F. Like this is not an F player. What I'm gonna say is that it's a C minus in my opinion. It's a C minus. And
Wait. When we talk about like grades, are we like grading the player or like the
it's
team?
both. It's about who they took and where they took,
Oh,
right?
oh, I think
So,
it's a F minus for the Falcons. I think it's
okay.
a
So you're
yeah,
saying
it's
F
like a
minus.
C for him.
I'm gonna say C minus, and this kind of plays into both because I think you're grading it a little hard because Michael Penix this year, they went to the national championship. He was phenomenal this year, like phenomenal. He was second in Heisman voting. Like he was a really good player. I'm not saying he should have gone eight, but he was a first round pick, I think. Even though like people mocked him as going the second and third round, that's because they didn't know who was going to take a QB. Like he's a first round talent. And what the Falcons screwed up, the reason why this is not a higher pick and a higher grade is because why did they take him at eight? Right?
Mm.
If you wanted him that badly, you would have found a way to trade down. I'm sure somebody called them from lower down asking to move up to eight. I'm sure,
Definitely.
right? Most teams get a call in the top 10. So you wanted this guy that badly, move down. I'm not saying because I think he's a great player, but the situation doesn't make sense, and the pick doesn't make sense for where they are. It's a bad pick because of bad asset management. They could have traded down, got a new first round pick, plus maybe another first round pick next year, or a bunch of seconds or thirds or whatever, plus a player maybe. Right? That's a valuable pick, number eight, depending how far they move down. Penix was going to be there. So why did they take him at eight? The GM said that it was because they're trying to do like a Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love thing. The
Mhm.
problem is that Jordan Love is 24 now. After 3 years, now he's 24, right? Penix, you're going to be throwing him into the NFL in his prime when he hasn't done any rookie playing, right? And I did listen to something which they talked about was that Atlanta was so scarred by this year and Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke and the mess that they had at quarterback that they never want to have that problem again. And that I respect. That I get. They have Kirk Cousins now. They paid the big money to get him. And they must be thinking that in 2 years when he's 36 and there's no more guaranteed money on the line, he just might tail off. He just might not be that good. And Penix's going to be there, but they're also doing this for the fact that if Kirk Cousins gets hurt, they don't have to rely on some random dude who just has never proved it in the NFL to be the guy. They want to be
Hmm.
at the top. They've got Drake London, they've got Kyle Pitts, they've got Bijan Robinson. That's a cornerstone top three. And right now you have Kirk Cousins, who's going to be a reliable quarterback, but he's coming off of the ACL injury. So they have so many question marks about that. They gave him a ton of money, but there's obviously going to be question marks. And then when they got a young quarterback who they also won't, they'll have to pay him top 8 money for the draft, but they don't actually have to pay him, right? Like he's just getting whatever a rookie contract is
Hmm.
for a top 10 player. So it sucks that they took him at 8 because if they took him at 25, nobody would even be talking about this.
Hmm.
They would say, "Oh, why'd you take a quarterback?" But it wouldn't have been blown out of proportion like it is right now. Like he's a good player, picked in the wrong spot. They
Yeah,
should
I
have taken
agree.
someone else there, or they should have traded down because this was not the right. Or what they should have done is actually take someone else there, take an offensive lineman, take a defensive player. They need it badly. They need edge rush.
Hmm.
They need D tackles. Grady Jarrett's doing everything by himself. They
Yeah,
need
exactly.
there, and then they should have just traded back into the first round. Buffalo moved out of the first round. They could have done it. They could have found a way to make a trade work to get in if they wanted Penix that badly. Instead, they just unfortunately they I mean, I can't say they misunderstood it, right? Like I'm not any kind of NFL GM, but in
Hmm.
my opinion, they just poorly managed their assets. They could have done a lot with that 8 pick if they really wanted to do this. Penix is a great player. It'll be interesting to see how they run this, but now they have quarterback stability, which funny thing is, a lot of teams don't have that. So they do have something that most teams don't have, which is quarterback stability. Penix, honestly, is probably already close to ready to playing in the NFL. So now they're just going to develop him like crazy. And who knows? Maybe he's going to outshine. Maybe Kirk Cousins has to take a couple of snaps off. Maybe hurts his leg, and Penix throws a 100-yard touchdown, and then he's in, right? Like a kind of like, or
Mm.
like what happened to
Sounds like Joe
Drew.
Montana, Steve Young
Yeah,
vibe.
something like that, or like when Drew Bledsoe got hurt and Tom Brady came in and he was
Mm.
phenomenal, then they just rolled with that, right? You never know what's going to happen. They put themselves in a spot. The GM even said, if he sits for 4 years, that means that we're doing something right, right? If we don't think that we need to replace Kirk, and I mean that hurts Penix's career. He probably
Hmm.
won't like that comment, but at the same
Definitely.
time, he's picked at 8. He's going to make a ton of money. He is a good player, and I think it sucks that people are slandering him for the pick, but it's not actually his fault. It's Atlanta's fault. They picked him in the wrong spot. They're hurting him right now, but that's why it's a C minus. I don't think it can be an F because I understand what they did, but I think it's closer to a D because of where they did it and why they did it. So yeah,
That's
that's
fair.
my
I
take on it.
mean,
Yeah,
we'll see. Only time will tell. How
absolutely. Only time will
crazy
tell.
things
This
can
year,
go.
though, I mean, we can
Yeah.
both agree we fully expect Kirk to play every single game.
Hmm.
Right. We don't
Just the
I
injury
don't
thing.
think Michael Penix will ever touch the field unless it's either they're up or down by a ton or Kirk Cousins gets hurt.
Preseason. I think we'll see him in preseason though, no?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Preseason obviously we'll see him. I
Yeah.
I mean regular season, we're not gonna see him.
All right, that's enough of Mr.
Yeah, that
Michael.
that was the big one. That was
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
the elephant in the room
And now we're
here.
gonna start going quicker throughout these
Yep.
because we're not
We're
really
gonna rip
like,
through these now. Once we get through the top 8, it's like everything is just either clear or unclear.
yeah. So we got Rome Odunze from Washington. He's a 6'3" receiver, and he was Michael Penix's teammate actually.
Yeah, he went at 9 to the Bears. Now the Bears didn't really fill a need. They didn't need a wide receiver, but they took him because why not? Why not just have an absolute triple threat monstrous group there in Chicago? They went from a team that didn't have any wide receiver to now a
To
team that has
probably
three
maybe
absolute stars.
arguably the best wide receiver core in the NFL.
Yeah,
arguably.
now arguably they have the best wide receiver core in the NFL because DJ Moore is so steady. This he showed us last year. He has the ability to have a
Hmm.
200 game, right? And multiple touchdowns. He's super reliable.
With
Keenan
Justin
Allen is a
Fields.
reception god. This guy doesn't drop anything.
Hmm.
And now they've
Like,
got a speedster who can catch the ball.
he's 6'3" too. He's a big
Yeah.
boy.
It's a phenomenal pick.
It was a A minus. Hey.
I'm gonna give it a B plus just because they didn't need the wide receiver. I think that they could have gone a different way with this. But that doesn't mean that that doesn't mean that the player is not amazing. It just means that maybe they
Hmm.
could have done something else. Dunzee's a great player, B plus for me.
A minus, but he can play in and out the slot. He can. We all know Keenan Allen plays in the slot as well. So I don't know. It's gonna be scary in Chicago.
They'll have some fun with that offense.
Next we got JJ McCarthy. The Vikings actually traded up with the Jets, I
Yeah,
think,
they moved up one spot.
that one spot. And I guess they were worried that the Jets were gonna get McCarthy to sit behind Rodgers. So I guess that's why they traded up.
No, no. What they did was no, because they swapped with the Jets. So the Jets weren't going to take him. They were worried that the Broncos were going to trade up and get him.
No, but the
So the Jets had pick
traded
10.
before.
The Jets had pick 10, and the
Yeah.
Vikings had pick 11.
Yeah, but the Broncos had 12.
Yeah, so they were worried that the Broncos were going to make a trade with the Jets to move up.
Oh, I see, I see.
And the rumor is that Sean Payton apparently tricked them
He
into doing
tried.
that.
Oh, he's
They were
tricked them.
never actually going to take him. Uh, we're like, I mean, this will be like sort of the last one that we talk a lot about. JJ McCarthy, he's a good player, but because he played for Michigan and Harbaugh, it's really inflating his value. I hope he's a great quarterback. Like I really liked him at Michigan. Like he did like winning for Michigan is like you become like a god over there, right? Like they'll probably build a
Mm,
statue for him. Like he did
definitely.
phenomenal work there. But
27-1 record as a start. It's crazy.
yeah. And this past season, right, they do say though that this was maybe the best offense that college football's seen, right? Like he had a top end offensive line. He had two monstrously good running backs and great wide receivers. So and obviously
And the
uh,
head coach.
an incredible head coach who's now back in the NFL. And the guy's got a crazy winning percentage in the NFL. Like he's a great quarterback, but let's see now because the pressure is going to be on him right away. I'm assuming that they want him to start and he's expected to win, right?
Hmm.
Because when they had Kirk Cousins playing there last year, his first 4 games, he was the MVP leader. They're looking for the same thing. They're looking for JJ to throw that ball to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and make it work, right?
Hmm.
It'll be interesting to
And
see.
TJ Hawkinson too.
Oh yeah,
And
that's
you
right.
got Aaron Jones as well.
They've got a good group of guys there, but that's what I mean. The pressure is going to be on. This is a B for me, just because I think that they should have. I don't know. I would have rather they traded down actually and took Michael Penix, assuming that he would have
Mm,
been there. Like
yeah.
the reason I give it a B is because they never had the thought process for it.
I mean, I don't think anyone thought they'd take.
Yeah, I don't think anybody thought that. Um, it's also just a B because I don't like they've been so sold on JJ McCarthy. Like I don't know why, right? They never really explained what they truly love about him. All you ever hear these guys say is that this guy's got a high motor. Like I don't know what that means, right? Like that's something that you say when you don't know what to say, right?
High
Like
motor.
he's a good quarterback, but I mean, I think it's slightly masked by the fact that he played for an amazing team with an amazing head coach. Uh, it's a B for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a B for me as well. There's a lot of pressure on this guy, but I think Kevin O'Connell, he's a good coach.
Hmm.
We saw what he did with the Vikings this year, but when Kirk was healthy. So now you bring in JJ McCarthy, and you got Jordan Addison. Obviously, he's got a bunch of weapons, thank God. So it's not like he's getting thrown into, like Carolina,
Yeah.
like this young. But I'm gonna give it a B as well. So we'll see how he does, but
Yeah.
I think he'll do okay this year. Not bad.
I think he's got the head coach to do it.
Hmm. For
Right.
sure. Next pick is the Jets, who took Olu Fashanu, 6'6" tackle
Yeah.
from Penn
Offensive
State.
tackle. It was just a really steady pick. The Jets are, they're
They're
kind
doing
of in
good.
this
They
weird
just
funk
wanna.
where they
They're
think that
building
they have
great
a good
around
O-line,
Rodgers.
but then the
Hmm.
O-line it just isn't great. And Mekhi Becton has been so
Yeah, he
inconsistent
gets in
since
shape
this
and then he's out of shape.
Yeah, he sometimes he looks like a star and sometimes he doesn't, right? Now they got to make sure that they protect Aaron Rodgers even more because of the
Mhm.
Achilles injury. Um, we're not gonna spend a ton of time on this. It's a good pick. It's a good value pick. They picked for positional value. They needed that in the team. They got what they needed. The guy's a great player. Done and dusted. It's a B plus. Good pick.
So I give it a A-. He was the best tackle left on the board. They signed Tyron Smith too, so they're really bolstering up that O-line. And I think they're gonna do pretty good this year because they're
Yeah.
gonna have it protecting Rodgers, obviously. And next pick is the Denver Broncos, who took quarterback Bo Nix. What do you think of this? I was surprised, honestly. I felt they could have waited.
It was a pretty big surprise. Something that kind of complicated this pick was that they didn't have a second round pick.
Hmm.
So one thing, even though like we just said that, oh, you can just trade down in the draft, it's pretty tough to trade down. Like it's pretty hard to convince a team to move up and take your pick if nobody's calling you. Like you
Yeah.
just have to do whatever you can do. And yeah, you could probably trade back into the round or whatever, but the Broncos are probably tired of doing this kind of thing. So they just went and got their guy. I do have to say, Bo Nix had a pretty good year. Like he looked pretty good. He's pretty mature. He's ready to play tomorrow. Like he's NFL ready, but there's not going to be a ton of growth. Like the guy you got is the guy you got. Like this
Mm.
is whatever he is week one, he'll improve a little bit, but that's probably going to be the type of quarter. Like there's no way to kind of change his development now. Like the kind of quarterback he is because he's also much older, kind of like Penix. He's probably 24, I think, or 23. Um,
Hmm.
He's a good player, though. A couple of years ago, people thought that maybe he would be like a true top end pick, and things just didn't really work out. I want to say he was at LSU after Joe Burrow. So, or no, he was at Auburn, sorry. At Auburn, big school, ton of pressure. He dreamed of playing for Auburn, and it just didn't really work out. And he made the move to Oregon, and it actually played a lot better for him. The problem is that they took him at a place that they didn't need to take him. Like there was a lot of really good players on the board, and a lot of defensive players on the board, right? Every single defender is still on the board. Um, this is lower than the Michael Penix one for me. This is a D minus, just because
Damn.
he's not the number 12 pick. Unfortunately, like the guy we're gonna talk about, the guy who went right after him is an A plus.
Hmm.
This was a D minus. They did not make the right move here, taking him. It was a surprise to everyone. It wasn't a surprise that they took Knicks. It was a surprise that they took him at 12. They had to find some other way to make this work because they could have got two phenomenal players today. They could have got Bo Nix later on in the draft, and they could have taken an offensive lineman or literally any defender on the board. So yeah, that's my opinion. It's a D minus.
Well, I'm gonna give it a C. It's not bad, but I felt like they were just pressured because the Raiders need a quarterback. The Saints kind of need a quarterback. So I guess they were just worried that someone would
Yeah.
take him. But I don't know, it's interesting. That's how Champagne's gonna, develop him. Because you got Zach Wilson they just got, and you got Jared Stidham. So you got three QBs, and you don't even know which one's gonna be the starter. So we'll see. It's gonna be like I guess they'll find out during preseason or like camp. It's gonna be good comp for all of them. So, you know, it's a slight reach, but I guess they were just scared, so they just
Well,
took him.
last thing I'll add is that I think Sean Payton's really looking for his next Drew Brees. And I
Hmm.
think Bo Nix is kind of to that play style. He likes to use his legs, but he's also got the arm for it. Accuracy is it's pretty good as well. So
Yeah, he broke the record, 77.4. This
exactly.
guy's actually gives off Drew Brees vibes, but you
That's what I mean.
compare him to
So
Dak
that's
Prescott.
why maybe D minus is a bit low. I'm gonna stick with it, but they went and they got their guy. But I said it earlier, go and get your guy, and that's what they did. Um, so it's not, even though I say D minus, like I said before, I don't always do that because of the player. It's usually just because of the position, right? This was just not the right spot to take him.
Hmm.
Just because they could have got a little more value out of this. But, you know, of course, I hope it works out. I hate when I see these top end picks not work out because these guys have so much potential. Um, so I hope it works out for him. But yeah, It was just super, super unexpected.
Yeah, I agree. Very unexpected, but yeah, we don't care about Denver, my team
No,
fleet.
no.
So we move on to the Las Vegas Raiders. They selected tight end Brock Bowers with the 13th pick. We all knew this guy's a generational talent. He's a tight end out of Georgia. God damn, he's 6'3", 243. This guy one of them
Nice.
farm boys as well. Look at this
He's,
guy. Tight
dude,
end
he
slash
is
receiver
so,
hybrid
so,
out
so
of
good.
Georgia. That's
He
like
is so
basically the
good.
best school.
Honestly, people were saying it was a surprise that he was even there at 13, right? Like this guy
Mhm.
probably should have been a top 10 pick. The Raiders have to be loving this right now, right? Because they traded away Darren Waller to the Giants last year. So they didn't really have their guy at tight end. And now they've gone and they've got a super, super reliable tight end. Like it's gonna be fun to see. The only question is really who's gonna be the quarterback, right? They've got a kind of weird group there. It might be Aiden
Aiden
O'Connell.
O'Connell, no?
I don't know how good he is. Like he played last year and he was like all right. Like
Mid.
I think that this is a team that's in no man's land. They're in like this middle ground where they don't know what they're doing.
I mean, I feel like they're trying to compete because they brought in Christian Wilkins to
No,
help
they are.
Max
They're
Crosby.
trying to compete. They're trying to, but the thing is, it's so hard to compete without a star quarterback.
I need to go piss. I'm sorry, guys. I'll be back. Yeah.
Ugh, this is classic from Ethan. Absolutely classic. This guy can't go to the bathroom beforehand, eh? Jeez. Zion, when you see this, bro, was good. Ethan just got a small bladder. Jesus. Man can't hold it in. Although, actually, I think we've only gone through like 13 picks. There's still so many to go. So, jeez, I'm mental, bro. I'm talking to nobody. Oh my God. Zion, I know you're gonna see this, but damn, that's crazy.
So you want to do it till like 15?
You want to stop after the next two picks?
Yeah, because I kind of have to go. It's already 2,
Sorry, oh shit, it is. What time do you have to leave?
like at 15.
At 2:15?
No, no, like until we get a pick 15, I'm gonna go.
Okay.
All right, Zion, cut this out, okay?
Yeah, Zion, cut this
A little
out.
more, too much cleavage for
All
you
right,
guys.
so we're gonna go to 15 today. We're not gonna go any deep with that because nothing else really crazy happened in the draft. We're finished talking about Brock Bowers here. Basically, they picked for the value here. It was a really, really good pick. It would have been hard for them to take anyone else. There was not really a quarterback on the board that they should take in this spot. Um, not really. Bowers was the clear pick. Like it's no contest. I thought the Jets should have taken him, but it's a good pick. A plus.
I'm gonna give this A+ too. I mean, this guy does everything. I feel like he gives like kind of Travis Kelsey vibes. I saw someone compare him to Vernon Davis
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well. Um, I mean, this guy just gets open. You can put him at receiver. I feel like you put him at fullback too. This guy just is
He
that
can block, he
talented.
can run, he can do it all. So it's a
He's
great pick.
like kind of Gronk too. I mean, we'll see who he like
Yeah.
pans out to be.
I
But
think
it's
Gronk's taller than
this.
6'3" though. So
I mean, this guy's an athlete. So.
yeah, he's an athlete. He's on a top team as well. All right.
Next is the Saints, who took Tylese Fuaga. I hope
Yeah.
I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah. Offensive tackle. A good pick. Pretty simple. I'd give it a B plus. Now they didn't, it's not like they moved up in the draft or anything, didn't move down. They just got a good player. They filled a need. Offensive tackle definitely is necessary. They've got also a kind of weird group there because they've got Olave at wide receiver, but they've also got um what's his name? Who's a quarterback? It's not
Derek
Winston.
Carr.
Derek Carr. I don't know if he's really a star. Like I can't call him a star quarterback. I can't be confident that he's my starter. So
Nah, I don't know what happened to him. I think he was
he's
only good with John Gruden, honestly.
yeah, that's what's crazy. He
A
was
hot take. I don't know if that's a hot take, but I mean, what's your grade on this guy?
Um, B. Actually, I said B plus before. I'm gonna say B. I think it's a
I'm gonna
B.
say
I think
B
it's just a good pick.
minus. I mean Ryan Ramchik's his injuries. He's injury prone with his knee, and then Trevor Penning. They drafted him last year, I think. Trevor Penning.
Yeah, he's got some attitude issues, I think, but
He's been okay, but this guy's he's a starter. Put him at right tackle. He played comp because he's in the Pac-12 with the Oregon State Beavers. I didn't know he actually went there. But yeah, you need to get Derek Carr some help because this guy's ass. So maybe he'll be a little less ass.
yeah.
I'm gonna give it a B minus. So it's the Saints. They got cap problems, but at least they take tackle. The Saints had a great O line usually, like when with Breeze. Remember that the time when you had Ryan Ramchick, you had was it Tyron Smith, I think. Was he on there?
Yep. A while ago. Was it Tyron Smith or
It was some I don't want to say it. It's gonna sound racist. It was
yeah,
a rather large African
don't
American.
say it.
It was a large
I
African
don't
American.
remember. I know who you're
You
talking about. I
know
don't
what I
remember
mean?
his name either. But
Hmm.
yeah, there was a time they're trying to kind of rebuild that. I'm not sure that they had to take offensive line though. Once again, every single defensive player is still on the board at this point. I'm not sure why they didn't take one. So yeah,
So next pick we got pick 15. Colts select edge rusher from UCLA, Laitu Latu. So
yeah.
this guy's a fucking beast. Oh, sorry, can't cuss. But yeah,
He,
this guy's great.
he's
I heard he's
amazing.
like a crazy athlete.
Yeah,
He had
finally a defensive
23 and a
player.
half
So
sacks, 2 seasons. God damn.
yeah, he's yeah, there isn't even a lot to say about him. Like he's just a really good player. Like it's and the Colts get a steal. I bet they didn't think he was gonna be there
Definitely a
because
steal.
the defensive players should have went a lot earlier. Like there's a lot of other guys who should have went that didn't. Um, but yeah, it's a I'm gonna give it an A minus. I think that to me that's really good. A minus is a really good pick, especially at around 15. Like it's just good.
I'm gonna give this an A. I was kind of hoping he would fall to the Seahawks, but my Seahawks got Byron Murphy, so I'm pretty happy with that. We'll talk more about that tomorrow.
Yeah.
But this guy
Let's
is great. Um, Definitely
quickly.
thought he should have went
We're gonna
earlier.
quickly go over like a couple of picks. We're just gonna say what we think about them.
Mhm.
The Chiefs took Xavier Worthy at 28. This guy's basically a Tyreek Hill version too. 4.21 at the combine.
And the
Absolute
Bills, they
skill.
gave it to him. They traded
Exactly.
down.
The Bills gave it to him.
I
It's
don't know
an
what
A.
they're doing.
Like that pick was an A for me. Like I could not believe that they
Mhm.
got him in that spot.
I want to talk about Byron Murphy real quick.
Mhm.
16, the tackle from Texas. This is a great guy. Look at him. He's already my favorite player. We
Yeah,
definitely needed him. Mike McDonald, he likes to bolster up that D line that like he had the Ravens last year. I think this is the best pick. Honestly, I'm gonna give this a A.
yeah,
As a took the best player available, and he's
agreed.
gonna help the Seahawks on that interior line with Leonard Williams as well.
And then the Bengals took Amarius Mims at 18, offensive tackle. The reason why I'm going to bring this up is because he's had some pretty, like, he had a pretty serious injury, I believe, in college. And like, a doctor even told him, like, he might not come back from it. And he managed to come back and he's played really well. But
Hmm.
this is now another guy that the Bengals are adding that has had injury concerns. I don't know if I can support the pick. I think it's a C plus. I think he's a great player, but I think it's too much risk to take on.
Much for sure. I mean, you're using your first round pick on
Yeah.
someone that's very injury prone. 6'8", god damn. And like I feel like bigger guys are more prone to injury too.
Yeah. And then I'm also gonna do
340.
my Rams, Jared Verse at 19.
Nah, that was a good pick. You
It,
guys
it was a
had a
good
good
pick.
draft.
Some people said earlier in the year that maybe he could have gone sooner. He had a great year in college, and he's
And then
a great player.
you guys got Brandon Fisk as well in the second round.
Yeah, so we're really trying to make up for losing Aaron Donald now. And honestly, I any pick that Sean McVay is a part of, I trust it 100%. The guy just he knows how to see talent. He's got an
Hmm.
eye for it. Totally trust him. It's a great pick, honestly. And then the last one that I want to cover is the Eagles. There's two picks. The first round pick and the second round pick. They got Quinyon Mitchell at 22. I don't know
Cornerback.
how he was there at 22. Really good corner. They
He's
needed a corner
4'3",
and they
fast.
got one.
Mhm.
And then Cooper DeJean in the second round. Obviously he's a white corner. That's kind of been the joke or whatever. That doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
They just filled a huge positional need. They keep on getting better.
Yeah, the
I don't know
Eagles
how that's
always had
happened.
great drafts.
Right, last year they got the D tackle.
Jalen Carter, and then
Yeah.
that other Georgia edge rusher.
Uh,
Troy, no, T. It started with a
Honestly,
T.
I've forgotten his name. But yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. They got
Nolan
two
Smith
guys.
Jr.
Yes. So they got two guys last year. Now they got two more guys this year who are gonna help them like crazy. The Eagles are only improving. They might be back in the Super Bowl if these guys
Mhm.
can develop well. So the Eagles had an A draft because of that. In the first two rounds, they had an A first two rounds. Even though maybe those guys, some people say Quinion Mitchell maybe shouldn't have gone that high. Some people say should have went higher. Cooper DeJean, I think people thought he was going to be a first round pick or early second. They traded back into the second round again and were traded up. Really good. It's an A for me. But yeah, I think that we'll end it there. If there's anything else that we really want to talk about for the draft, we'll cover it tomorrow when we talk about
Playoffs as
NBA
well.
playoffs and possibly
Champions
some
League.
Champions League because tomorrow the first matchup is going on.
Hmm.
But yeah, overall, it was a pretty good draft, right? A
This
lot
was
of
an exciting draft. I'm happy with this draft. It was good.
yeah. I like to see it whenever it kind of goes the way that people expect it to because it just makes sense. Sometimes teams make decisions like when the Raiders took Clelin Ferrell's at 4, and it was
Hmm.
like, what are you guys doing? Like it was a good draft, a lot more strategic rather than just teams trading up and getting a guy who sounds good, right? So
Hmm.
yeah, I think that's kind of our take on it today.
The good draft though. It was fun, exciting. We'll cover more tomorrow, like you said.